Sitting here thinking about all the things I've done. Oh my, oh God, it kinda makes me wanna run. Losing control, don't know what came over me. It must have been my friend Jack come visiting, yeah. Walking through the haze of I don't even know. As long as I get to relinquish control. Lying there waiting at the edge of a pipe. I guess it's time to see the devil inside, yeah.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. You are here for day 12 of Teen Driver Education, the Hernandez Driveway. We're on that final drive, folks. We got 4 days left counting today. Thank you so much for getting that name in the chat. But yeah, today we are going to be discussing effects of driver condition. And this is going to be one of the shortest classes that we have. We've got a couple videos in here. I do believe we've got a couple videos in here that we're going to be checking out. Of course, we will have the homework assignment with today, and tomorrow's link getting posted up after, as always. But in this final week, folks, all right, y'all have opportunity to ask if you still need clarification on anything. We should have a video posting going over the new procedures for requesting drives as well, but I'll briefly discuss that at the end of class. But let's go ahead and jump right in. Hope everyone had a fantastic Halloween. Happy holidays, everybody. Yeah, we're into November, so it's onwards to Thanksgiving and Christmas. So I hope y'all have a great rest of your year, but let's get through today because we got a few more days to go, right? All right, so let's see what's going on here with the effects of driver condition, the Hernandez Driveway. Brought my Scary Terry hat today because yesterday was such a great day. All right, now, how emotions affect driving? Well, first and foremost, what is an emotion? Emotion is defined as a strong feeling. All right, anger, fear, joy, these are all emotions. And when emotions affect your thoughts and actions, they can also affect your decision-making skills and ability to assess risk. Strong emotions block your ability to judge and reason. All right, if anybody's ever had a friend that was in a bad relationship and everyone could see that it was toxic except that person, that's what this is talking about. And when it can make you miss something as bad as some of those things that we have seen in those situations. Like when all the people thought that Edward Cullen from Twilight was awesome and that Jacob was awesome, and they're both horrible. Sorry, my daughter's asked to watch those movies recently, and I was like, oh, and I almost want to for the cringe factor. But yeah, for real, folks, anytime that, we're emotionally invested in anything, it affects our ability to judge and reason. And it can block our common sense. That's why perfectly rational individuals that know that it's illegal to do stupid stuff will still do stupid stuff when they put themselves into emotional states. Right? Strong emotions cause changes in your bodily functions. Your heartbeat speeds up. Your breathing quickens, digestion slows, and muscles tighten. Okay? If you're angered, your mind and body may prepare to fight. Right? These emotions prevent you from properly applying the IPD process because you've now gone into a fight or flight response. And your body is screaming at you to do one of two things: escape from a situation or attack a situation. And a lot of times neither is an acceptable option for the situation that we're in. And that just makes matters worse, right? So that can be very tough, folks. But we need to remember that it's not just those driving forces, that when we have that, we need to remind ourselves, hey, that this is a society that I live in, and these emotions do not have to control me. These emotions are, a thing of the past that are letting me know that the situation's not great, but it's not something that I need to get aggressive in, and it's not something I need to flee from. All right. Now, stress is not always bad. Sometimes it does help people perform better and accomplish things. All right. If you've ever had like a paper due on Monday and you forgot about it until the teacher mentioned it on Friday, hope you all have that 10-page paper done by Monday. And then, oh my goodness, and then that whole weekend you spend working and it's a masterpiece because the pressure, it elevates us sometimes. All right. That's why competition, brings out the best in people. Okay, but continued emotional stress exhausts a person and can lead to adverse effects, including heart disease and digestive disorders. I've got a great buddy named Micah. Micah is a National Guardsman, or was a National Guardsman for 8 or 10 years, and he deployed overseas to the desert conflicts, and the stress that he underwent because of that. And my buddy that's, albeit 4 years older than me, which makes him 45 at this point, has been a wreck since he was 35, right? It's just, the man can't even go do something, you know, that's going to take hours because he can't be away from a bathroom for that long because of the effects on his body. So long-term stress is terrible for us, folks. That's why we need to learn to cope with it. We need to learn to deal with it. And sometimes we just need to learn to recognize that we're in a stressful situation so we can just step back and be like, I need to let this go. All right? Now, aggressive driving is when drivers drive without regard for other people's safety, and road rage is when individuals drive with intent to harm others. Now, unfortunately, these videos are now copywritten, so we can't watch the Car and Driver one, but we will be able to watch this next one, folks. Strong emotions may cause you to focus on only one event. All right, if a driver suddenly moves into your lane without warning, and all you can focus on is that driver's actions, you might overreact and cause a conflict with the driver behind you. All right, your overreaction could upset or anger the driver behind you. Instead of getting upset, you and the driver behind you could increase space between you. Thanks, bud. And the vehicle ahead of you. Okay. But here's the deal. When we get mad about something, when we get upset about something, we tend to get very focused on it. But especially when it comes to driving, we need to remember that someone that does something dumb might as well be an idiot. And we don't have to concern ourselves with idiots, so we blow it out and forget it. What do I mean by blow it out? I've mentioned this before. In that breath, when that moment happens and you avoid a messy situation, instead of getting angry and staying angry at someone and staying focused on them and putting yourself at risk because you're not fully paying attention to the roadway, or putting yourself at risk because you're about to do something road ragey, we just need to understand that they're clearly stupid, and we just use that singular breath that we have in our lungs to insult them, to complain about them, to whatever, and then as soon as you have to breathe back in, we let it go, because that's how little that person mattered to me. All right, I passed probably 500 cars on my way to work today on the roadway, and none of those cars impacted my drive home, or are going to impact my drive home. None of those cars are going to make my life better. Passing those vehicles did not change me dramatically. Having those vehicles on the roadway did not grant me nirvana, because those cars didn't matter. The other traffic did not matter. What mattered was my current situation and my ability to get to my location safely. Okay? Now, all those people that didn't do anything crazy and put my life in jeopardy, I give them the same amount of attention that I gave the person that tried to cut me off on the way over here. Within 3 seconds, and 3 other people cutting me off, and me already dropping back to open up a gap because my quick mirror check told me that there were other people speeding my way. And once I was past them, that was it. Okay. They all meant equally nothing to me, because my only concern was getting myself to work safe and sound. Right? And that needs to be our concern when we're on the roadway. Because when we get hung up on something, when we can't let something go, we wind up like this dude right here. Now, just as a preface, so that you don't think that justice was brought, the individual, and you'll hear his attorney lying beautifully when he's talking about the guy being scared. You don't chase someone for 30 minutes when you're scared of them. You run from them for 30 minutes if you're scared of them, but you don't chase them. But anyway, the guy got like 6 months or 6 years probation, no jail time, and his wife received 0 charges. Now let's take a look and figure out what it is exactly I'm talking about, so we can see what people do when they feel that they've been affronted, when they feel that you've done something against them on the roadway.
Good evening. On this busy Memorial Day weekend, there'll be many more drivers on the road than usual, and undoubtedly more tempers flaring. Sometimes furious fights can result from even the most minor lapses by motorists. But hearing about road rage is very different than actually seeing how far it can sometimes go. Here's my Nightline co-anchor, Dan Harris.
You are watching a road rage incident that goes to dramatic extremes. Investigators say it all started on a Sunday afternoon in March of last year when Bradley Turner and his wife Christy were driving in their Toyota SUV in James City, North Carolina. This Chevy pickup, driven by Josh Berry, with his friends Nathan and Shaylee inside, may have cut them off.
He got up beside me, leaned out the window, pointing at me, said he's going to kill me.
The chase was on. For 30 to 40 minutes, with their 4-year-old child in the back seat, the Turners tailed the young trio. Josh Berry says he tried to lose them, but they followed him all the way to his friend Nathan's driveway.
When we seen him get out of the car, I threw my truck in park, turned off the keys, and looked at Nathan, and I was like, I guess he's really going to come up here.
In that moment, Berry's friend Shaylee started rolling her cell phone video camera.
And when he walked up, I just looked at him. He said a couple words, threw a punch, and it was on like Donkey Kong.
On like Donkey Kong. Turner goes down, and remember, his child is in the back seat.
The first time I looked up, honestly, that's when I seen the kids in the car. That's the only reason I didn't keep kicking.
And look at this.
You see his wife coming down the car, and she's got a gun, and hands it to him. Her facial expression is completely calm.
Christy Turner hands her husband a pistol. He cocks it, and it accidentally goes off.
All I heard was click, click, click.
That is when the camera goes off too.
When I heard the click, everything stopped.
I was honestly scared for my life, and after those clicks, man, my heart dropped, and everything got real after that.
Everybody gets to see the fun part of it. We're the ones that saw a gun pointed to our face and thought we was about to die.
We'll show you what happened next in a minute, but first, some perspective. Road rage has been around since the days of the horse and buggy, but now, with more cars on the road and cameras everywhere, we are seeing some truly outrageous examples.
Come on, fat boy!
Yelling, spitting, hitting, and throwing just about everything from coffee to crutches. As we head into this Memorial Day holiday, one of the busiest driving weekends of the year, it is high season for road rage. It's a phenomenon Bob Nemirovsky knows all too well.
I was driving home very late at night, and there was some guy tailgating me, and I got my exit, and I flipped the guy off. He chased me while waving a baseball bat at me out the window.
Nemirovsky, a psychologist in San Francisco, has now made a career of studying road rage.
I think we all have the potential to be a road rager, and I think some people it gets out of control.
This dash cam video, shot just weeks ago, went viral on YouTube after capturing this pickup truck swerve into another driver on a freeway in San Diego. Amazingly, nobody got hurt here. Witnesses say the driver of the pickup took both hands off the wheel to flip the other driver off. She was arrested on suspicion of reckless driving and assault with a deadly weapon and will appear in a courtroom in San Diego next month.
We get into a little cocoon in our automobiles, and we feel like we own the space in front of us, and when someone tailgates us or someone cuts in front, I think that feels very threatening, almost as if someone is driving right into the front door of our home.
He says there are ways for drivers to prevent road rage and cool off when things get too heated.
If you're feeling stressed, do something like go to the gym, go for a walk, get yourself calm. When you're in the car, instead of listening to maybe outrageous talk radio, maybe listen to something that makes you a little more calm. And when something happens on the road and you start to feel yourself getting upset, use this mantra. I call it FIDO. Forget it, drive on.
And if those tips don't help, there's always karma. In this YouTube video posted by a woman from Florida, notice the pickup visible in the rearview mirror as it barrels down on her. Suddenly, the truck passes her, the driver flipping her off as he races by, and then in an instant, the truck is captured spinning out of control, tires squealing, glass shattering, before coming to rest on the other side of the street.
That's what you get!
Sometimes karma is a ditch.
Videotaping that and watching
But back to
that.
James City, North Carolina, and the case of Bradley Turner. After he accidentally fired off his gun handed to him by his wife with their child in the car, police say he eventually pulled away, but then he circled back and fired shots into the empty pickup owned by Josh Berry, who he believed had cut him off. Berry called 911.
Carter County 911. Go ahead with the call.
Oh, he shot out my back glass of my truck. Holy.
Bradley and Christy Turner eventually turned themselves in and are now facing a whole litany of charges.
Listen to the lawyer.
Turner was in court, battered and bruised, with his attorney by his side.
We're dealing with a man who's a father and a husband and a hardworking man, and he was just completely terrified.
Police say they did not charge the young men because they were defending themselves.
A lot of people are saying, you should have just put the phone down, called the cops, done the right thing. But it's like, if you're in that predicament, what are you going to do? You don't know. It's the heat of the moment. Your adrenaline's going, you're not going to think right. And we defended ourselves, and that's what we did.
The case is still making its way through the court system, and Bradley Turner is now looking at prison time, upwards of 4 years, all because he lost his cool on the road. For Nightline, this is Dan Harris in New York.
Bradley Turner pled not guilty last year. We reached out to his lawyers for comment. They would only say the legal process was still ongoing.
Okay, so like I said, neither him nor his wife faced jail charges, though very clearly she was not afraid. She was escalating the situation. When we take a bad situation and we make it worse, someone punches us, we pull a knife, that's escalation. Someone pulls a knife, we pull a gun, that's escalation. Somebody's using bad language and we slap them, that's escalation. And escalation does two things. One, it makes the matter worse, and it puts the responsibility of what's about to happen on the escalator. Okay? If someone is calling you every insult under the sun because you cut them off, and you take a swing at them, now they have a legal right to defend themselves, and you're probably going to go to jail if there's any kind of a camera involved. Right? Do not let another push your emotional state. Now, on that, both people used the defense. I was emotional for half an hour. Okay, I've been scared for half an hour. I have. All right? I was in a situation where there were people actively trying to break into my home while I was inside and on the phone with the police. Because when I realized someone was trying to harm me, that was the first thing I thought. I need to call the cops. Right? Nobody called law enforcement in this situation until after shots were already fired. Right? So here's a couple tips on keeping yourself safe if you find yourself in this ridiculous but very possible, very plausible situation. Number one, don't drive home. All right? If a person is psycho enough to chase you for half an hour, they're psycho enough to come back another day and do something. So don't lead them to the place where you sleep or your family is. Instead, drive to your local police department. Drive to a local, like a Walmart parking lot. Go somewhere where there will be cameras, witnesses, to keep this person from thinking that they're going to get away scot-free. Okay? Do not show people where you live, right? And if you are concerned, if you're being chased, call the police. Hello, my name is Stephen Norris. I am driving this kind of vehicle. This is my license plate. I'm on this road heading in this direction. There is a car that's been chasing me for the last 10 minutes, and I think they intend to do me harm. Okay? I need help. Law enforcement takes calls like that very serious. I was working as a dispatcher once, and I got one of these calls. And it was very simple. It was, my ex-boyfriend has been following my car for 20 minutes, and I'm scared. No problem. I toned it out. 3 separate officers showed up because there was a clear and present danger. And they wanted someone to be able to protect her and 2 people to take initiative with him. Okay? They attempted to pull him over, and lo and behold, he didn't know it was her. He thought he was following a friend. But the thing is that when he got pulled over, she got to keep going where she was going. Wherever she was going, trying not to be seen. Okay? Law enforcement will assist you, but only if you let them know what's going on. All right? And a half an hour is more than enough time. So instead of driving home, maybe call the cops or drive down to the police department. And if you are driving to the police department, be sure to call them and let them know, hey, I've got a crazy person chasing me. I think they're going to try to hurt me when I stop my car. I'm going to go pull over in front of the police department. I'll be driving this, they're driving this, and that's it. Okay, stuff like that ahead notice. Hey, if you pull into the police department and that person chases you in there and the cops are already waiting and they do anything remotely stupid, it's not going to be lawyer. No, they're going to get some jail time because clear evidence in front of law enforcement. They proceed to do anything. And then if they don't, if they choose to break it off, they leave. And then, cops can go pull them over. Like, why were you chasing that person? Oh, they cut me off. Can you prove it? Don't put yourself in that situation. All right. And then being angry can happen for a minute, can happen for 2 minutes, can happen for 3 minutes. If you're still angry at someone for 30 minutes because they cut you off in traffic, you're not actually angry at them. You're having some sort of social anxiety disorder related attack because cutting you off in traffic? I mean, I'm not even upset at my brothers for a half an hour when they punch me. I wasn't upset at my daughter for a half an hour when she broke my favorite mug. Hey, these aren't things that are normal, and we need to be able to see them in ourselves. We need to be able to respond to them in a way that helps us take control. So when you see you're losing control, if nothing else, separate yourself from the moment, from the situation. You're driving, you suddenly feel like, oh my God, I'm gonna get this person. Is that a normal train of thought? No, then I need to pull over and relax for a few minutes. Put some distance between me and my problem. And in most cases, it's gonna help. All right? Now, sorrow, depression, and anxiety are other emotions that can adversely affect driving. These emotions can slow body processes and reduce mental alertness. Anxiety differs from anger. Okay, you might have trouble identifying hazards when you are confused. You might even feel panic-stricken. And if you have anxiety attacks like I do, these can be very bad instances. A happy, excited driver is just as impaired as an angry driver. And I once had a panic attack that resulted in a giggle fit for an hour and a half. Right? Just could not stop laughing for an hour and a half. It physically hurt at the end of it when I was finally able to stop. But that's what it was. It was a panic attack. Panic attacks can take the form of any emotion. So any emotion can take us out of control. Okay? Once again, we need to separate ourselves from the situation. And if we're that emotional, if we're that emotionally wound up, we can't be driving. We can't. It just, Now, physical senses in driving. All right. Seeing, more than 90% of the information you gather while driving is received through your eyes. Your brain directs your eyes to focus on objects in or around your path of travel. Information is sent to your brain and combined with stored information. As a result, you can identify hazards, predict conflicts, decide to maintain or adjust your speed and position, and execute your decisions. All right, you can employ the IPD process if you're looking. All right. Now, visual acuity is our ability to see things clearly. Individuals that need glasses, like me, I need glasses. I have good visual acuity. I have, poor light sensitivity. Other individuals that need glasses have poor visual acuity. They just can't see without their glasses. There's nothing wrong with these situations, but your ability to see things clearly is more than just your ability to look around. It's your ability to generally see. So if you're not able to see clearly because you forgot your glasses that are required on your license, that's one of those things we don't let you drive for, folks. Okay, we got to have those sensible shoes. We got to have our glasses. We got to have that permit when we come for the driving lesson. Throwing that in there because y'all need the reminder. People still forget. Okay. Now, your field of vision is the entire area that you can see while you are looking straight ahead. And the kind of amazing thing about our field of vision is, let's see, I do this every class. Okay, there's this thumb and then right there. This is my full field of vision. When I wiggle my thumbs, I can perceive the motion there, right? Why? Because that is my peripheral vision. My peripheral vision, which is basically everything that's not right here, everything that does not make up this little wedge of what I see, which is what I can focus with, is my peripheral vision. Now, the closest part of that is called your fringe vision. Your fringe vision is still pretty good at picking up details and information, but it doesn't let you focus hardcore. So you can still tell that it's your friend standing right here. But if you don't know what his shirt already says or her shirt already says, you're going to have to shift your focus directly to them and read it to perceive it, because this isn't going to give your brain the best amount of information. Now, some people that speed read actually learn to expand that central vision, that predator vision, the vision we focus with, the vision we put on our target when we're paying attention to something. Some people learn to expand that, but they lose a little bit while they're reading. Yes, they can see everything that they're reading, but they're kind of shutting out the world around them and they become engrossed in their literature, which is kind of cool though, because they can knock out a book in 10 minutes, right? But it's all a matter of that. Now, is that something easy to do? No, you have to learn to use your brain like that. And all of us use this standard method. Central vision, this is what we focus on. Staring at a person that you're romantically interested in from across the cafeteria, and your friends already can tell who you're looking. I'm not looking at them, no matter how much you deny. They tell you without a doubt and correctly who you were looking at. Why? Because we're predators. We're all predators, all right? Our eyes are on the front of us, right? We know how to tell where another predator's vision is being directed because it's so narrow, all right? It says 10 degrees right there, but realistically, we still like to center things inside there so we can even cut it down to a single degree far enough away. Okay? So central vision, that's what we focus with. That's what we read with. That's what we look at signs with. And that's why we need to turn our head when we're checking our mirrors, not just like assume we can see everything that's going on, because we can't. Our brain only perceives 100% of the information from our central vision. Your fringe vision is getting about 60 to 70, not enough for a lot of functions. And then your outer peripheral, which is everything outside that 90 degree wedge or 40 degrees on either side of your central vision, everything out there all the way to the extremist, this is only good for lights and movement. Well, this is great when it comes to driving because there are lots of lights and movement from there. That's why when we're at an intersection and there's a police car down the road, we always know to turn our head because we see that flashing light. Our brain picks it up and tells us, hey, we need to turn our attention that way. Okay? That's how this helps. But unfortunately, that also means that when we're doing things like blind spot checks, we have to get that head turned because that movement we're going to detect is in that blind spot. But it is still a blind spot. So if that car is perfectly in the blind spot going the same speed it does, and we can turn the head, our brain might still not recognize it. So we need to actively think about what we're looking at, and that's why those blind spot checks are so important. That's why it's important to get turned as much as you can and really get that central vision on it. Don't just rely on the peripheral. Okay? But that peripheral will alert you to lights and movement. All right? Now, if y'all have ever seen that movie Jurassic Park, the OG, there's this hilarious scene in the beginning where Dr. Grant is proving that he would be a terrible dad. And he's just describing a raptor attack to this chunky little boy. And he's telling him that you're going to be staring right at the raptor, and the raptor's going to be staring right at you. And that's when the attack comes. Not from the front, but from the sides. From the two raptors you never saw. Well, this is foreshadowing, because later in the movie, a hunter named Muldoon is in this exact situation. He's hunting the raptor's hunting him, he's looking right at it, and then his peripheral gives him the slightest bit of movement in the grass. And so he turns his head and he goes, clever girl, right before he gets, eaten by a couple of dinosaurs. But the peripheral vision, that little bit of movement is all it takes. So when your brain is telling you, hey, you need to look this way while you're driving, it's because you detected something that, there was movement, that was light, and we need to give it that quick check. Just a quick glance is all it takes to identify what something is, but sometimes it's a vehicle rushing towards us and we need to hit the brakes. Other times it's a kid running towards the street or an animal running towards the street. We need to be paying attention because if you aren't looking, you can't see it. All right? Okay? And this all makes up our total visual acuity. Okay? So, number one, and don't forget, folks, we're going to be discussing, going over again, how to request those drives and a couple other things on our website, just real quick, since this is a very short class today. All right. Now, the vision that is sensitive to movement and light is that peripheral, central, tunnel, or field of vision. Number 2, in order for a person to park in the space, what is required? Hey, does a person riding in a vehicle must be in a wheelchair? Is it an able-bodied person must be present to assist the disabled person? Is it the vehicle must have special license plate or card inside? Or is it the vehicle must have special requirements? When is glare resistance the worst? Glare is bright lights in your eyes. So is that when you're driving in a blinding snowstorm? Is that when you're driving during heavy rain? Is that when driving in a thick fog? Or is that when driving in sunny conditions? Which one of those is going to provide the worst glare resistance? Okay, number 4, in order to drive with any disability, the most important thing that driver should do is that drive at off-peak times, have a cell phone at all times, use alternative routes, or know how to compensate for their disability. Number 5, the part of your vision that you use to focus and direct your attention towards your target is that your field of vision, your fringe vision, your central vision, or your peripheral vision? Okay. Number 6, what can a driver do to avoid or recover from glare? Is it A, squint and glance to the side, B, speed up and change lanes, C, turn on high beam headlights, or D, close their eyes and hit the brakes? Right? And then number 7, where is carbon monoxide most likely to be found? Is that in the fuel, in the engine, in the passenger compartment, or in your vehicle's exhaust? And then number 8, which is the best way for a driver to prevent fatigue? Do you talk to yourself? Do you sing? Do you open a window? Or do you get ample rest before driving? So number 1, the part of the vision that's sensitive to movement and light is peripheral vision. It's this stuff out here on the sides. All right, it's what's to your right and to your left, but no more than like 45 degrees from directly in front of you. Okay. In order to park here, a person or a vehicle must have a special license plate or card inside. And a word on handicapped spots, folks. Sometimes people get upset, they get inflamed, they get triggered because they see someone that they perceive as unhandicapped parking in a handicapped spot. All right, now let me give you some things to think on next time you're in this situation yourself. Number 1, there's this amazing dude on YouTube, and I think they're called the Signing Duo, and it's a couple. It's this guy and his significant other and their pet. They have an adorable dog that rides along with them, and he's deaf. He's hearing impaired, and they go to establishments and they critique the service that he receives as an individual with a disability, and he has what's commonly called an invisible disability. All right, a deaf person is not in a wheelchair. They don't have a cane. There's no dog involved in many cases. So they look absolutely and 100% typical for a normal, healthy individual. So people will see people like this and be like, hey, he's not disabled, and then they'll do horrible things to their cars or just say snide or rude things. I mean, this dude, being deaf with the camera rolling and his hearing like able girlfriend in the shotgun seat, listening to comments like they're saying that you can hear and you're lying. And I'm like, who should have to deal with that sort of stuff? If you have a disability, people should not be there judging whether or not you have it or not. Okay? It's not my position. It's not your place. So if they have the placard, if they have the license plate, just assume that they are a disabled individual and don't get upset about it. Because sometimes it's also an issue like they dropped their son off at the door because he had a special wheelchair, and then they parked afterwards so that they'd be close by to do the same thing to pick him up. Or so that the parking spot would be close so that they could pick him up. Right? See, once again, that's going to be a healthy seeming person getting out of a vehicle with absolute right to be in that spot. So folks, please don't judge people based on the appearance. If they've got the stuff there, awesome. As long as they're compliant with that, everything's good. Now, if there's no license plate and no hanging thing and you want to be like, hey, this person doesn't belong here, sure, you have a very solid, valid reason to think that and say that and maybe even report it. But in Texas, in a private parking lot, law enforcement can't really do anything. Now, if it's like a public park with a handicap parking space, then we're cooking with Crisco, and they can do something about it because that's city property, right? But on private property, not so much, folks. So just be advised and try not to give anybody a hard time just because their disability happens to be invisible, all right? And then when is glare resistance worst? Well, glare resistance is from bright light, so when driving in sunny conditions. Now, you can have bad glare in snowstorm, heavy rain, or fog by turning on your brights. Because the reason we don't use our brights in those conditions is because water is tremendously efficient at reflecting light back. And those brights, your own brights, will blind you if you attempt to use them under those humid conditions. Number 4, in order to drive with any disability, the most important thing a driver should do is know how to compensate for the disability. All right, an individual that is hearing impaired has to have a co-pilot or a device that alerts them to noises in applicable areas. That's how they combat it. One of my students was a little person, and she had an extension kit for her pedals and a booster seat for her car that positioned her closer to the steering wheel than the seat normally would allow for, and had her airbag disabled so that it wouldn't hurt her because her arms simply weren't long enough. But see, those are both examples of how the disability was compensated for, thus allowing someone with a disability to continue to drive, or a different ability, I should say. And then, of course, the part of your vision that you use to focus and direct your attention towards your target is your central vision, also known as your predator vision. All right, it's what we focus with, it's what we read with, and if you doubt that that's accurate, try it. Hold the book right here to your side, look straight forward, and see if you can read it without turning your eyes towards the book. All right, now what can a driver do to avoid or recover from glare? Squint and glance to the side. Allow that white line on the side to kind of help you maintain your position. If it moves in this way, you're moving off the roadway. If it moves out that way, you're moving towards the center. Keep it in that same spot on your vehicle and you'll maintain the same lane position, right? What is carbon monoxide and where is it most likely to be found? Well, it's a product of combustion and it's found in your vehicle's exhaust. That's why we don't let our cars warm up in the garage if our fur buddies are hanging out in there. And before we go into that garage to go jump in our car, we open up the garage door to let, you know, the air circulate so we're not breathing in that carbon monoxide that will build up in your system and takes weeks to get out without the application of pure O2. Right? Now, which is the best way for a driver to prevent fatigue? Well, the best way, just like the best way to avoid issues with your cell phone is to not use your phone until you're out of the roadway and in park, the best way to avoid fatigue is to get plenty of rest before you go driving in the first place, folks. All right, and then if y'all were in person, we'd get to do this, but I'm gonna show you the real quick video because Joey is an absolute champ at this. If you ever see anyone using drug goggles and trying to walk a straight line, it is a bloody nightmare, but he knocks it out like a pro. Let's check it out real quick, and then we're gonna discuss how to schedule appointments.
Get here, get lined up. Put the goggles on. Hands to your side. You need to be looking down at the line, okay? And then heel to toe, and you're counting out loud every step. 1, 2, 3,
Whoop.
4,
Whoop.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay? You will not be that graceful.
Yeah, those are absolutely disorienting. Okay, but the purpose for it is most of the time these things mess people up terribly because it's like being impaired. It's like being intoxicated when you put them on because the distorted image messes with your sense of balance. Our sense of balance is very heavily dependent on what we see and what we perceive, and this just messes it up so hard that it can literally make your head start swimming. Okay, so check out some videos on YouTube about people trying to use drug goggles because they're usually hilarious. They don't all knock it out like Joe did. All right, but that's today's class, and now we're just going to continue on some procedural stuff. We're going to go over again how to request appointments for your drives because you are going to be expected to get a half a dozen of those in the next 6 months, all on your own, and then you give us a call, let us know about that last one, and we will be more than happy to we will be more than happy to help you out getting that last one set up in a time frame and a schedule that works best with the availability and your needs for that 6-month date. 1 second, let me. There we go. Okay. Sorry, just trying to get this set up. There we go. All right, back to presentation. Perfect. Okay, so here's our website once again, and I'm gonna make me go invisible. There we go. All right, so that y'all can just see that. That's gonna be a little weird. Let me adjust the size and center. There we go. Okay, so right here we have our new chat function. Okay, so if you do need assistance, all you have to do is come to our website, and right here you'll be able to see exactly where you can communicate with us, get some help. All right. Now, to set up your drives, okay, we're going to click on the big button that says register for class DPS road test. It just went yellow, and you just give it a few seconds to allow the page to reload. And once that does do so, we get us a lovely little set of tabs right here. Now remember, you do have to be logged in. Ours right now says Office Heads 2883B because that's the account we're logged in. Yours should have whatever your registered account name is. All right. Now we're going to come here, and this very fourth tab up on the top, that's our Teen Lessons HDS students. But let's jump back over here real quick. These are the ones that you're going to be using for the road test when you're done with those 6 months drives, but you don't need those just yet. All right. You do not need to sign up for an adult or teen driver education course or adult driver's education because you've already done so. What you need are teen lessons for non-this driving school students. All right. Now you're going to scroll again, and then we've got Weslaco, FAR. All right. If you can drive in Weslaco, sweet. You click Weslaco, you go to the calendar, and you go to the next available day. Okay. Next day that I'm showing has available drives is going to be the 30th. Yeah, I guess. Right. So that means that today they've already requested all available drives, and whichever get denied will pop back up. Right. So you kind of just have to visit the site a couple times a day and look for availability. See if there's a slot that works for you, and you're going to choose the one slot that works absolute best for you. Okay. You are going to choose the one slot that you can make it to during that time frame, and you're going to request it. If you get approved, you'll get a confirmation email. If you don't get an email saying that your drive was approved, then it wasn't, and you have to try again. Okay, you're trying to aim for one drive a month. All right, now the new system's a little different, and I know it is, but the thing is that before it was lottery, so they'd be going through, like 50, 60 names. Okay. Now, once you have a drive approved, you will not be allowed to request any other ones right away. The system's and that's gonna allow for individuals that don't have drives to then attempt to make their requests, right? And hopefully alleviate some of the pressure, some of the difficulty. Okay, so choose the drive time that will work best for you, and then if you don't get that one, try again. You wanna try to aim for one every single month. But as you can see, these dates go pretty quickly, so every day you just need to jump on there and see, hey, is a day that's going to work for me available? Can I get a drive in? All right. Now, let's say that the times are a little later for you and you're like, hey, I have early release. Let us know. Communicate with us. Maybe we can help you with that. All right. We like if we have a driver or an instructor that's willing to come in an hour earlier to get you a drive because you're able to come in an hour earlier than typical students, that may help you out. All right, so use those things to your benefit. Request the time that's going to work best for you off the calendar. And if you have that special exception where you can be in earlier than the drives listed on there seem to be available for, well, fantastic. That means you have a time that you can communicate with us and see if we can get you set up. All right, we'll do our best to accommodate our students, but we do expect everyone to be making an effort. if you're requesting your one drive and your one drive, as soon as it's canceled, you try again, and you keep going, we're eventually going to approve one for you. We're going to give you a drive. We're going to see, hey, this person's already requested 3 into the new system. Let me get them a drive. Or, yeah, it's another month. Let me get them a drive. Okay? But you need to stay on top of it, folks, because this is y'all's responsibility. This is your... Sorry, I'm just popping the chat out. This is your license that you're working for. Okay? Please, 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 please stay on top of it, because it's super important, because the 6-month date is 6 months from the day your permit was issued to you. That's the first day you can get your driver's license. And why wouldn't you want it as soon as possible? Why would you want to wait an extra 6 months or a year before getting it? I understand that maybe you're not even interested in driving, that driving intimidates you a little bit, or that you just don't plan on being much of a driver, but driver's license is a solid form of ID. In the event of an emergency, you will already know how to drive. You'll be licensed and legally able to drive. And, driver's licenses are sometimes required for job consideration. Because if you have to choose between 2 employees, they both have the exact same qualifications, but one of them has a license to drive and one of them doesn't. Or if you're looking for a volunteer to take with you when you're doing like some sort of volunteering stuff, the person with a driver's license may wind up getting to drive, may wind up getting to do stuff that's a little more important for whatever volunteering they're up to. There's a lot of great reasons to get your license early, but the simplest one is, well, the sooner you have it, the sooner you don't have to worry about ever doing it again. The sooner you don't have to worry about, getting drive scheduled. The sooner you don't have to worry about, oh my God, I need to go this place and there's no one to drive me, because that sucks. That really does. Right? You become a person that can be relied on in the family for mobility, or you can rely on yourself for mobility, and that's a fantastic freedom, folks. There's no reason not to strive for it. So please do stay on top of that. All right, and then just real quick, we're going to go here to more. You can click on make a payment, and that'll allow you to make a payment for the course. But let's go ahead and take a look at that page again, because it's got those fees on there that I want to go over again real quick while we've got the time. All right. We've got the teen gas fee. Okay, that's $5. In the contract it says 10. Our bosses ran a study, and as long as gas is at about $4, it's in the contract that if gas is over $4, you'll pay 10 to get a drive done. Okay, they determined through a study that as long as gas is around 4, it only costs us $5 per drive. So we reduce the amount that we're charging, but in the contract it does say we can go up to 10. We're doing y'all a favor and cutting it down. All right, now the second thing to show you is the no-show fee. If you show up in sandals, if you show up in high heels, if you show up in cowboy boots, if you show up dressed for the club and the instructor's not comfortable with the way you're dressed and just doesn't want to, go out driving with you, that's a valid concern in our industry. That's a valid concern in today's environment. So please come dressed respectably, because if they're not comfortable and you chose to come in a way that, made them that way, unfortunately, you may be charged a $40 no-show fee. If you forget to bring your driver's permit, that's a $40 no-show fee. If you forget to bring your glasses that are required by the license, that's a $40 no-show fee. If you show up 15 minutes late, 10 minutes late, 5.5 minutes late to your drive, that's a no-show fee. You must be early by at least a couple minutes and no later than 5 minutes late. Okay? Because the law says we have to drive you instruct you 55 minutes out of the hour in order for it to be a legal and valid lesson. And that's our license, folks. So please don't expect us to put that on the line because you were here 8 minutes late. Okay? The other option is to then push back the students that follow you. And is it fair for me to ask you to go 10 minutes later because someone else was late? Well, then it's not fair for me to ask someone else to go 10 minutes later because you were late. All right? That's just kind of how it is, folks. We need to make sure that we've got everything we need when we show up for those lessons, and we show up on time to avoid that $40 charge. All right? But for teen driver education, all you have to do is come to our teen driver package right here. You'll click on that, and it will take you to the payment screen. Because you log into yours, it will keep track of how much you owe on yours. So the maximum payment should be whatever you owe. Since we don't have an account with a down payment for our office, the max is $295. It starts at $10 and it goes up by $5 until you hit the payoff. All right. In the event of overpayment, we'll be more than happy to refund you the difference, folks. Not an issue there, but do make sure that you do get that process, because we do need full payment before we release the certificate that allows you to get that driver's permit. All right, because unfortunately other people would pay the deposit, get the certificate, and then we'd never see them again for class, and we'd never get any more money or assignments from them, and they'd never actually finish their driver's ed. And if you don't finish your driver's ed, well, then you can't get a license, but they'd use the permit as a pretend license. All right, now, the other thing I want to look at on more is resources. Hey, this is fantastic, because when it's time for you to go to DPS, you can schedule yourself using this ginormous button that says Go to Scheduler. That button right there, you just click on it, it'll allow you to select the city, and then you can go directly into the scheduler for DPS so that you can get that appointment set up. And remember, you can drop it off at any DPS. It doesn't have to be the one closest to your house, the one you can get it to the soonest, as long as it's not an inconvenient drive for y'all. All right. And then when you need to watch the impact video to get your license 6 months after you get your permit, you come here and you're going to select the teen impact course because you took teen driver's education. All right. And then right here, we got the teen license application. You ain't got to worry about that one though. But this one right here, if you want to check out the full Texas Driver Handbook, we've got it in English and in Spanish for you. You can download another copy of the 30-hour log in case you misplace or damage yours. The Texas Residency Affidavit. We can provide you one in person that's been notarized so that you can ensure that everything's good to go. But you can also just print one out here and take an unnotarized one to DPS if they take it. But that is up to their discretion. And then other DPS forms, boom. Right? We've got all these fantastic resources available to you at just a few clicks, because we really do want to make this easy for you as possible, because we understand that this is your responsibility. Like I said, folks, welcome to adulthood. And just, if you do have drives, you can click on My Bookings, and it will tell you exactly when you have a drive. But pro tip, get an alarm set up for the day before your drive to remind you, hey, drive tomorrow. Get an alarm set the morning of your drive, hey, drive this afternoon. Drive this afternoon. And then at least a couple hours before your drive to remind you, hey, driving at this time. Because we get busy, we forget things. But we need to make sure that we show up, because when we don't show up to one of these drives that we already have approved, that's a $40 no-show fee, folks. And that's the last thing you want to have to deal with, right? Pay money because you forgot something. All right, now at this point, do we have any questions, issues, or concerns? Anything that I can assist y'all with before I let you go? Or are y'all ready just to run off into the evening? All right, but let's go ahead and finish it the right way. Every day, make the world a better place, but first, do no harm. Every day, make that choice, make that change, make that decision that's going to take you one step closer to that you want to be, that person you aspire to be, that career you dream about. Every day, make a small change in your life that is going to prepare you for what you want to be or where you want to be in the future, folks. All right, let's see. And then when are we taking the final? So the final exam, final assignment is the day 16 assignment. All right, on Friday, we'll have our final live stream. And on that day, I will post the day 15 and the day 16 assignment, as well as an inspirational quote from yours truly, something I wrote in one of my failed books. But the final exam is going to be the final assignment link that we're going to post for y'all on that Friday, or on this Friday. Okay, so it'll be day 15 assignment and then day 16 final exam. All right, it's roughly going to take an hour and a half to complete the assignment, but don't let the word exam or final frighten you, folks. All right, it's a basic knowledge test to see how much information from what we've taught you you've absorbed. Okay, and you are going to surprise yourself, because you're going to know a ton of it because we've gone over it. Okay? We've talked about it, we've discussed it, you've seen it in the homeworks. So don't be worried about the final, but the final exam will be posted this Friday, and that assignment is due on Saturday. Okay, and this coming Saturday is the final day for class. That also means final payments for the course are due then. If your parents need extra time, have them just give us a call. Let us know what kind of time frame, so we can maybe call when it is convenient to let them know, hey, we're calling about that last payment. Right? We don't want to be bugging them needlessly. If they already know they're going to need extra time, please have them let us know. Okay? Let's see here. Now, I'm not seeing any other questions. Anything else, folks? I mean, you know, y'all have me for 3 more days after this. So if you think of something, you still have opportunities to ask, but today is the best day because we've still got a bunch of time. Anything else that y'all need to know, want to know, would like to know? Before we go, all right? And yeah, folks, just as a reminder, when you are getting those drives scheduled or requested for the scheduling, you will only be able to pick one. So pick the best one for you. And if it gets approved, it's yours. If not, it'll become available the next day for others. So check every day because sometimes stuff pops up. No. Nothing? All right then. Well, everyone, I hope y'all had a fantastic Halloween. I hope you had a fantastic day today. You know, new November, right? New Year's almost done. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you have a fantastic evening, fantastic week, fantastic rest of your year. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel. For day 13 of Teen Driver Education, the Hernandez Driveway, where we'll be talking about city, country, and highway driving, as well as sharing the roadways with motorcycles and trucks. All right, tomorrow's a great day. Lots of information that's going to help keep us safe and keep y'all safe. And speaking of keeping safe, let's not forget observation, folks. We need to be looking at every intersection that we're approaching when we're riding in the front seat, because when you become a driver, that's expected of you. And until you get your license, that chin needs to be moving. We need to know you're turning your head, making those checks. All right. Thank you, everyone. Y'all have a great evening. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel for day 13 of Teen Driver Education, the Hernandez Driveway.